most common yet intimidating duties for the novice director is calling the opening commands of a production that's being recorded. In the following instructional video, you will be shown how to call an opening for a typical television production that's being recorded. This will first include the proper sequence of the commands. Secondly, the proper verbal interaction between the director and the crew. Thirdly, how the two-column television script should appear. And finally, what the director should be concentrating on at this point in the production. The director's job during a live-on-tape production begins with correctly calling the opening commands.
Stand by, ready to record and acknowledge, ready to roll open and fade on in 8, record and acknowledge, recording, roll open and fade in.
The proper sequence of commands is critical to getting the production started in a coordinated manner. Therefore, the director must call the commands involved in the opening in the correct order. The first part of the opening sequence is designed to inform all those involved that the production is starting. This can be considered the ready phase. The first command given by the director is the command to stand by.
Alright, stand by.
This informs everyone involved in the production that things are about to get underway. Anyone not prepared to do their job or experiencing a problem should immediately inform the director. The second command the director gives in the ready phase is ready to record and acknowledge.
Ready to record and acknowledge.
This connotes that the person operating the recording equipment should be ready to start that equipment, and then, only after they are sure the recording equipment is operating correctly and the production is being recorded, inform or acknowledge the production is being recorded by saying, recording.
Ready to roll open and fade in on 8. Record and acknowledge.
Recording.
Roll open and fade in on 8.
The director needs to hear this affirmation because the director is concentrating on their job, which will be addressed in step 4 below. If the production begins with a pre-recorded opening segment, the third command in the ready sequence is typically to start or roll that segment, so that when the next command, which is to fade in, is given, there is no waiting for the player to start up and play the video.
Record and acknowledge.
Recording.
Roll open. Fade in on 8.
So even though, in one sense, fading in is the next command because this switcher operation is required for a visual to appear, in fact, the command to roll verbally precedes it because there must be something to fade in on. Therefore, the direction to fade in, which is handwritten as FI, is written above the direction to roll. The command in this instance is prepare to roll and fade in on. The next part of this command is the video channel on the switcher through which the source is routed. In the rush control room, this type of video is typically played back from the computer through channel 8. The director will be watching the individual source monitors, so when the director sees the pre-recorded opening video has appeared in source monitor 8, they can give the command to fade in, thus avoid having no visual on screen. The complete command is ready to roll open and fade in on 8. The entire ready sequence is stand by, ready to record and acknowledge, ready to roll open and fade in on 8. With the ready sequence delivered, the director can begin the second phase by giving the actual command which starts the production. These are the same commands given in the ready phase, minus the ready commands.
Record and acknowledge.
Recording.
Roll open and fade in on 8.
This set of commands begins with the director saying, record and acknowledge, and then pausing while the person operating the recording equipment activates it and verifies it's operating correctly, or recording.
Record and acknowledge.
Once the person operating the recording equipment verifies it's operating, they verbally inform the director by saying, "Recording."
Recording.
Hearing the verification, they give the next set of commands. Roll open. Upon hearing the command, the person operating the equipment playing the opening sequence starts it playing.
Roll open.
At this point, the director is watching the source monitors, waiting for the video to appear. When the director sees the video appear in the source monitor, they give the next part of the command sequence, fade in on 8. At this point, the switcher operator fades in on channel 8, causing the visual information on channel 8 to be routed into the program channel and thus recorded. The third area to be covered in the introduction is how the 2-column television script should appear. Frequently, novice directors feel the need to write out every word they need to say to get a production started. There's a problem with this because the television script quickly becomes so cluttered that they can't follow their own plan. Instead, the first command written on the script should be the first visual element they ask for. A television script contains only video and audio direction that occurs once the production begins. Further, the opening command should be something a director knows by heart, since they're used so often. And anything occurring before the production isn't needed to be written. Anything in addition merely creates the possibility of confusion. Therefore, the fade in, noted on the script as FI in the center of the script with the number 8 circled in the far right margin, is the first moment of the production and thus the first piece of information which should be written on the script. The final point to address is upon what the director should be concentrating. Directors should be thinking about what the beginning of the production should look like and sound like, and their attention should be focused on the monitor bank, particularly the preview, program, and individual source monitor upon which their opening shot or sequence will appear. What they should avoid doing is burying their nose in their scripts. Too often, a novice director tries to call a production solely based on looking at their script. Instead, a director should think and organize in terms of segments or sequences. Then, as they look at their script, they should note the order and particulars of a segment or sequence, and then, focusing their attention on the availability of visuals and sound, work to achieve their plan. This is done by looking at the monitors and directing their crew to make needed adjustments to cameras, graphic equipment, switcher, and audio source, to name a few. Note that this information isn't found on the page of a script, but rather only in the source, preview, and program monitors and the audio speakers. Therefore, a novice director can improve their ability to call the opening commands of a production that's being recorded by keeping in mind 4 important factors. The first requires calling the commands in the proper sequence. The second factor to remember is that the proper verbal interaction between the director and the crew has to be followed. The third factor is keeping the 2-column television script uncluttered by memorizing these frequently used commands. And finally, a director needs to focus their attention on not only individual segments of their script, but also on the sources of audio and visual choices they need to continually monitor and adjust as needed. The preceding instructional video reviewed how to call an opening sequence for a television production being recorded.